I'm Janet Jones, author of Happiness Millionaire, Positive Images for a Rich and Powerful Life. And you are watching a walk and a talk for happiness seekers. With the rise in antidepressant prescriptions year on year, I decided it was time to do something about this and help people to focus on happiness health for all rather than mental health when there's a problem. Now, have you ever met somebody and you knew that there was a reason for meeting? Well, I met this gorgeous guy at the train station a few weeks ago when he offered to help me carry my suitcase up some stairs. And I then discovered that he was an amazing singer. And later, I found out that his name meant happiness and joy. I simply had to bring him to my happiness seekers. Enjoy this chat that I had with Thabo. Oh, but I do also have to apologise for the quality because once again there is wind. It seems to be so windy here in Yorkshire. But the conversation is great and I'm sure you'll get a lot out of it. Enjoy. So Thabo, thank you so much for giving me your time today.
Absolutely.
It's been a pleasure, and just very briefly how we met. I will be forever grateful for this guy carrying my suitcase. So at the train station, what people don't know is that we were met at a train station and Thabo offered to carry my case up some stairs, and maybe it's because I look so old.
No.
A very kind gesture. And what I discovered from you that day, though, that you have a really gentle sort of demeanour about you, actually, which is why I let you take my case. But I just thought, you don't meet very many people who are that calm on public transport. And then when we sort of chatted and stuff, and I returned home, I discovered that your name actually means happiness and joy.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Absolutely.
And then when I mentioned that to you, you said that you have all your life now tried to live up to that and step into that. What impact has that actually had for you? Because it is a great name, but it is a legacy.
I have my parents to thank for that.
Yes.
So the story goes, I asked my mom about this, and she said when I was born, that was the only name that they came up with. Mm-hmm. And apparently I was a bouncy baby.
Oh, okay.
I prefer the term buoyant because when they say bouncy, I always think, did they drop me?
Yeah, doing.
Yes, and then they found out, oh, he's a bouncy baby. Let's call him Thabo.
Yeah. Oh, he bounces. Let's call him Thabo.
He bounced and he didn't mind.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He was happy about it. So I think there's something buoyant about my nature. So they decided, okay, we'll call him Thabo. Mm-hmm. And ever since, and in a sense, them giving me that name, I don't know. Who knows what naming someone does and what the responsibility we have when we name children, but it suited me.
Yes.
And the more I start to understand what joy is and what happiness is, it has become my personal study as well. Because to be happy also means you have to be familiar with the other side of the coin. You have to know sorrow.
It's true.
And be comfortable with it. So that's one of the things that I'm learning about all of that and learning the balance between the two.
And would you say your name, because we were chatting earlier and you have been through some challenging times, would you say that that's carried you through some challenging times also? Do you think it's contributed to that?
Absolutely. I used to get this used to frustrate my dad, but I used to get, on my report card, they used to always say, cheerful disposition. Always. And he used to say, I'm paying school fees for a cheerful disposition? That doesn't make any sense.
What about your maths, son?
Yes. But I default to to a cheerful disposition. That's my default. and I'm fortunate, and I found out that, yeah, very quickly. Even if I lose my temper over something, 5 minutes later,
Yeah.
I'm calm, and even if I'm distressed about something, quite often I can sing myself into a really calm state of mind. Yeah, unless it's really hard. That's happened before.
Because the mind gets a hook, doesn't it? When we're in a difficult time, the mind gets hooked with this thought, and it is hard to change that. That pattern. It's like a broken record. It's hard to change that pattern. But for you, singing has helped you. So if we just backtrack a little bit and just briefly tell us some of your background.
I am Zimbabwean, born and raised in Zimbabwe. I lived in Zimbabwe for 18 years with my mom, my dad, my 2 sisters. Amazing childhood. I didn't know it at the time, as quite often is the case. But yeah, amazing childhood. I went to some interesting schools, got thrown out of a lot of interesting schools as well.
Bounced out of a lot.
Yes. Mischievous. A lot of people can testify to that. I was a handful for my parents, in good ways and bad ways.
Yes.
Christian home, and there was always prayer, but more importantly and more enjoyably for me, there was always singing. In Zimbabwe, there are instruments, but we don't rely on them.
Right.
The voice is the instrument.
Right.
There's a Zimbabwean saying, if you can talk, you can sing. If you can walk, you can dance.
Wow.
So there's literally no excuse.
Right.
So everyone sings.
Right.
So singing is not anything remarkable.
Right.
It is how you communicate your emotions. So be it at a wedding, be it at a funeral, you will always find people singing.
Yes, and singing brings a lot of happiness. I think it changes that inner chemistry, doesn't it, when you use your vocals in a higher level.
Absolutely.
I was doing some Reiki actually with this Reiki master, and once we finished, we then connected vocally, and it was one of the most spiritual experiences of my life. I thought, I have never connected so deeply with somebody ever.
Absolutely.
And it made me think that, maybe we, like in Britain, no one sings unless you go on X Factor, of the general public. And it just made me think, I wonder if we've really lost something that has a healing nature and a happy nature, but we need to be bringing that back.
Indeed.
I mean, we weren't singing a pop song, we were just hitting notes, but it's just connecting on that higher vibration.
Yes.
It's amazing.
Yeah, and vibration is what is key, because what it does, I found out singing also, it syncs your heartbeats.
Oh, okay.
That's another thing it does, because what you're now doing is you have to breathe at the same time and exhale at the same time.
Right.
So all of a sudden you're both in sync.
You're
just in that.
That's amazing.
Just in that. And I think it's beautiful.
Amazing.
So I agree with you. I think a lot of that has been lost in not singing together.
The other good thing of doing that is that you stop thinking of your worries, because like you were just saying, you're listening to someone else, you are connecting and on the vibrational level. Absolutely. Well, your mind isn't then thinking about, how do I pay my rent this month?
Absolutely, yeah.
Which is great, because we need a break from these kind of man-made worries that I was going to say that we've brought ourselves, but we have them imposed on us in modern life in many ways. And so you need to have a break off of those, otherwise it will drive your mind crazy. So singing is a really good way of doing it. A hum.
That's the best one.
Yeah.
That's the best one, because you're not burdened by lyrics.
No. Shall we hum? Right, hum.
Go ahead.
Do a nice. Will you hum? We'll hum together.
See now.
Pressure.
No, not at all.
Oh, okay.
It's in my mind. I'm now thinking about what to hum.
You think you're overthinking it
Yes, as
See,
these
I
things
should
are.
be the one worried because I'm not a singer.
You say, but you're speaking.
I speak. Also, I'm a singer.
So
yes.
you are a singer.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. I'll go with the Zimbabwe belief. Okay.
So to hum something.
Getting higher.
Hum.
Hum. Hum.
Hum. Hum.
Hum. You even hummed
Hum. Thank you. As do you.
it. Really.
When you take yourself seriously. Or
I'm not
rather when
taking
you realize.
myself-
No,
Okay,
you.
no, I wasn't taking myself.
No, you weren't.
Okay.
Let's. Hum. 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 Hum.
Connected. Did you feel that? That's amazing. Isn't that amazing? Okay, go humming, everybody. That is amazing. I know to start with, I wasn't taking that very seriously, but when I decided to, you really feel that
Yeah.
connection, don't you?
The
It's like-
vibration.
it's
very
amazing.
real.
It's like when you do the two-prong thing.
Yes.
It's amazing.
Yes.
Wow. See, I've learned something again.
But yeah, and you do hum beautifully.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's because humming suspends you and kind of you don't have to sing
No,
because it isn't singing.
No.
It is
and everyone can do that.
absolutely.
You don't have to remember lyrics. You don't have to hit a high note to anything.
No, there's no melody required. There's no the harmony will present itself in time.
I guess all that vibration, we forget that we are mind, body, spirit. It's so easy to forget that because we're busy. But it's worth just taking a break and remembering that and nurturing that mind, body, spirit connection. And that seems to be what that hum, it had a physical effect. It has an emotional, spiritual effect. And it will affect your mind and the whole brain chemistry.
Absolutely.
You know, it will reduce cortisol, which is a stress hormone, and it can only be a really healthy thing to do.
More humming.
More humming, more humming. Humming is the answer. So the other thing that we were talking about was ideas and vulnerability.
Yeah.
And I think, you know, a lot of people, certainly a lot of people that I come across in the work that I do, try not to be vulnerable. And this is the same in everything in life, whether we're choosing to love somebody or stepping out with our career and putting ourselves on the line, you know, or just even following a belief, whether it's a religious belief or a diet belief. You're opening yourself up to vulnerability, and that holds a lot of people back. So we were talking about the ideas, and you were saying something really brilliant about when we get ideas and having that courage to follow them, and what an idea does to us. And it was
Yeah.
such a great conversation. I wish you'd been recording it straight away.
But I guess what we were discussing is that ideas themselves are beings, and we tend to think of ideas as, I don't know how we think of them as these abstract things that are smaller than us,
Yeah.
and they
And it's beyond just an idea. It's thought in itself, I
Yes.
suppose, isn't it? Because
Yes.
idea is just a thought
Yes.
at the end of the day.
yeah.
So it's the thoughts that we have.
Yeah.
Where did they come from?
Oh no,
We
that's
knew the
wow,
answer to that.
Wow, that question right there. that where they come from.
That's another conversation.
Oh, that's
isn't it?
the big mystery.
It is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And not that it needs to be solved, but just wondering about that is amazing.
Isn't it?
Yeah.
But do you think that question is almost
too big to comprehend. Therefore, do we believe that they come from a higher source, or because I've had some ideas and it's almost as though it's just been planted on you, but if you don't take up that idea, someone else will.
Always.
Isn't that amazing?
Always.
Because you might think of something, you think it's unique,
Yes.
and then someone else creates it. You
Yes.
go, well, that was my
Yes.
idea. Well, you didn't act on it quick enough.
But the thing was, there's an interesting thing for me with ideas, and I think that's what they do. They have to manifest, and this is what we were speaking about
Yes.
earlier. So an idea will come to you and tap you on your shoulder and say, hey, I think you should write a book. And you say, nah, I'm not really an author. An idea will be like, I think you're an author, and I have a book that we should work on together. You go, nah, okay, fine. You may entertain that idea, and depending on how you interact with the idea manifests and becomes real, because that's what it
Yes.
really wants. Thing is, if you say no to that idea, the idea will plead with you. It will say, Janet, I have selected you specifically because I can see you are like me. You also want to manifest, and together we can realize. So I become real, and you also become real. You become a fuller version of yourself. If you reject that idea, it will go and look for someone else. And I don't know whether ideas do this on purpose, but when it has found someone else and it has manifested, it has to come back and present itself to you. To show,
Such as life, eh?
yes,
Yeah.
to kind of teach you the lesson about how powerful ideas are, that take us seriously next time.
Yeah.
So all of us have missed opportunities and ideas that we've said, well, I thought of that. I thought about that 20 years ago.
Yeah.
And the idea like you did, and you should have taken it seriously 20 years ago. In such a way that when the next idea confronts you, you take it more seriously. And I think part of the ecosystem, that's how ideas work.
Yes, I think you're right. And also, for people who, when you haven't taken up the idea and then it's gone, on someone else, and maybe you are not as happy and fulfilled, you're not feeling happy and fulfilled. And then I think there's two paths. One, you either live bitterly and
Yes.
regret,
Yeah.
which many people do.
Yeah.
Incredible, it's tragic. Or you say, next time I'll step up. But in that decision to step up, there's a lot of preparation to be made, isn't there?
Absolutely.
I know for me and I'm sure it was the same for you with singing, that when the idea very first presents itself, when it's got your attention, you're going to go, okay. There's a massive journey of new information, building courage, putting yourself out there, feeling a fool. And so it's not that you have this idea and then suddenly, hey, presto, it's manifested. As we know, it can be years. And so it's having that tenacity and the determination to maintain that. And also we were saying about when you have manifested the idea and life then is tough, either financially or whatever, or you've lost all your friends, then it's about then you still have to keep going with it. Many people will quit when the going gets tough.
Yeah, and I think the rent and for living is the same no matter where you are, no matter what you decide to do. And I think that's one of the things I've discovered, that if you decide to play it safe, it's the same blood, sweat, and tears for playing safe as it is for actually going for what you want to do.
Yeah, that's true.
So if you say, oh, you know what, I want to actually be, I want to be sensible about what I'm doing, you will cry the same amount of tears that someone who's decided to bet on themselves.
Yes.
It's exactly the same amount of energy.
It's the same breath, it's the same day.
It's exactly the same. And I think that's worth knowing for a lot of people, and you'd approach life a lot differently. Once you know that we're all paying the exact same rent on this planet. And there is no safe there's no safe option.
No, there isn't.
And there is there is the illusion of something that
of
is safe.
safety.
But in that illusion, what happens is you never feel fulfilled.
No. And there's nothing safe about that. Because if you're not feeling fulfilled and you're not living true to you, then stress, anxiety, and depression are the only other things.
Yes.
And it's almost in a way, by not choosing to be you, your authentic self, you are then choosing the stressful route,
Absolutely.
or a compromise of a nothing route.
Absolutely.
You know,
Absolutely.
and life is never full of color that way. Is it?
No.
No.
I mean, the point becomes that we, much like children, the closer we are to being like children, the better it is. Because children don't have, I mean, not that they don't have stresses or anything like that, but they do, but the way they deal with them is very different from the way that we big children do.
Yes, yeah.
As we add time to our experience here on earth, something begins to erode within us, and it's a really, it's a daunting prospect, and I don't understand how. I think I understand how it happens, but it's a shame that it does.
I heard a great Henry Thoreau quote just recently, actually, and it says, "We fritter our life away." What's it? We fritter our life away with trivial things. Simplify. You know,
Always.
that's what we need to do.
Always.
We've got to simplify.
Always.
Simplify our minds. Simplify our life. 'Cause life's too busy, and we've got too many things bombarding us. Haven't we?
Absolutely.
So we must simplify. So let's wrap this up now and just think of. Can you think of 3 key areas of happiness, and how somebody might just find a different way of viewing something that would help them? So, like we've been talking about the hum, just that will create space. Talked about simplifying things. Can you think of anything that that somebody may be struggling with? Maybe they're putting off their creativity, their dreams and goals because they're being sensible. So something along those lines. Any wisdom?
For me, all wisdom is I get from other people, or from really hitting my head and learning that way, the hard way. And my big takeaway on life so far is purpose. If you don't know why you are here, that will present the most problems, and you'll be a nuisance in every single direction. You'll be a nuisance to yourself. The most important question every human being has to answer is why they're here. And the way to answer that question is, honestly, using your emotional compass. When was the last time you were truly happy? Not with anyone else or anything, just by yourself, in your heart of hearts.
Yeah.
Where was the last time you were so happy?
Yeah, and that happiness is not leaping about happiness.
No.
It's a real calm,
Yes.
contented,
Yes.
deep happiness, isn't it?
Yes. Was it looking at a view? Was it when you made a meal? All those so-called trivial things. You will find that people have made careers doing those things.
Yeah.
So someone will say, the last time I felt serene happiness, I climbed a certain mountain and I sat there for a few hours. And you're like, there are people who do that for a living. Maybe start climbing mountains and investigate doing that. The last time I was really happy was when I was in the kitchen making the meal, or baking a cake, or making a pancake. There are people who do that.
These are signs, aren't
Just
they?
that.
Yes, yeah.
And that's the emotional compass. That's telling you that's where you need to go. And in the same way, like a dog, will follow the scent. Your emotions are that. They allow you to follow the scent of what makes you happy, and you'll find your purpose.
And I suppose it doesn't necessarily have to be a paid job in that, does
No.
it? We don't have to use our purpose to earn the living.
No.
That could be completely separate, but it's just knowing to bring that into your life.
Absolutely.
I had one of those deep inner happy moments this morning, actually. I really wish I'd taken my camera, because in the mornings I walk 3 miles. I walk to the top of the hill and back, and at the top of the hill there's a lamppost. It's a 30-mile-an-hour, and I always touch the lamppost, and I, have a little reflection for the day, and then I go home. And this morning there were these 2 birds. I think they were just pigeons. Oh no, they were doves. Are doves always white? No, they weren't doves. Maybe they were pigeons.
Maybe.
But they were sat on the top, 2 of them, boy, girl, and they were just kind of, getting all cozy with one another.
Springtime.
And I just watched and had a moment with them, and I thought, this is what life is. This is a beautiful moment. It was absolutely delightful. And then I went home.
That's
Feeling
amazing.
very happy.
That's
Yeah.
amazing. You shared, and you see, now we all have an image of what
2 birds.
of these 2
Yeah.
birds and how they may have looked. And maybe it is take your camera with you,
Yeah, I should. But I like to, go off in my own space.
where it's just for you.
It's that picture's in my head.
Yeah.
But I thought that's authentic living. That is living life in the flow.
Yeah.
If you can be in the flow like those 2 birds, just being in that moment, even if you just grab a few of those moments,
Indeed.
life will be a lot happier.
Indeed. And follow that, like, with everything you have.
Mhm.
Like, and I would say bet on yourself always.
Yes.
Bet on yourself, not what someone else said. And how what separates us is nuance.
Mm.
We may do the exact same thing, but the way we do it is different. So even if someone has failed in that particular endeavor, it's your nuance, your approach to that endeavor is what makes it successful. And purpose will wake you up,
Yes.
will keep you up, will keep you motivated more than anything else.
Yes.
And even when the reality of life, the bills of life need to be paid, purpose will also see you through that
Yes.
more than anything. So
Purpose.
that's just find out what makes you happy
Yeah.
and do just that.
Do it.
It's so simple, but like
it
we were
is
saying,
so simple, isn't it? Yeah.
it's not easy.
No.
Because it's a simplification.
Mm.
And people will say, oh, well, how do I do this and how do I do that? Well, I don't know the how,
Yes.
but more of that thing.
It's the following the heart, isn't
Always.
it? And when you do that, you find that, you get connected to the right people. So you have fewer people in your life who are maybe angry and frustrated. So
Yeah.
therefore, that emotion is pretty much dealt with. And you find that when you are then around those people, you've got more to give, they've got more to give. Everyone brings that more out of
Yes.
one another.
Yes.
So actually, focusing on yourself and your own happiness and your own purpose is not a selfish thing to do at all. In fact, it's the right thing,
Yes.
and we should be doing that when we're very young, rather than getting to midlife, having a crisis, and then
Gosh.
and going,
Oh my gosh.
yeah.
Yes. Yes.
That's where it needs to be planted, isn't
Yeah.
it?
Ah,
Yeah.
we could go into that as well,
Yes.
because what I definitely believe is, as children, we were never taught how to study ourselves.
No.
It was always, don't do that. Mom said, Dad said, so and so, the teacher said, and so said. And I think you were never taught to listen to your own voice.
No.
And at some point, every human being has to begin to do that.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, depending on how strong those other voices were, you'll always be listening to them,
Yeah.
even when they're no longer there.
And that's why that happens at midlife, I think, isn't it? Because you then get to midlife and you go, hang on a minute. I haven't been living
Yes.
my life. I've
Yes.
been living yours and yours and
Yes.
yours. And then it's really then very challenging and takes masses of courage
Ah.
to change it then.
Yeah.
But people do, and in a way, well, I think you have to do. I know I certainly changed mine, and sadly I did have to upset people along the way. But I think you have to live your truth,
Always.
because unless you are, you're lying to others, and then their lives are based on a lie too. So it's essential to have the courage to live by truth. So we've got purpose, we've got truth. Another thing,
Good food.
good food,
Good food.
healthy food. Or just good food
as in,
that you enjoy?
yeah, and also that's been prepared. I'm now of the opinion that know the hands that make your food
Oh, right. Yes.
as much as possible, because home cooking nourishes more than just our bodies, which is why we love it so much, because the spirit is also nourished. So as much as possible, good food that has been prepared for you with love by people who love you,
Yes, yeah.
and people who are passionate about good food as well.
Yeah.
So as many of those experiences possible, because
Yeah.
it's essential for living.
Yes. Yeah, it's interesting actually, the thought of food, because when we're busy we just eat food so that we're not hungry.
Yes.
That's not the idea of
Yes.
food.
Yeah. Because
Yeah.
food is an art unto itself as well. Good food does the same thing we were talking about what music does. It really suspends whatever you were dealing with. You're like, wow, that's amazing, and
Yes.
your mind is taken over, and you're like, yes, I'm enjoying myself. And again, more happiness
Yeah.
in that.
So through good food you can suspend those worries, can't you?
Absolutely.
And just be in the moment with the food.
Yeah.
And we should do that at every meal.
Yeah.
I think, I mean, I know it's a bit of an outdated thing now, but saying grace before a meal,
Yeah.
even if you're not particularly spiritual, what it does is it focuses you in on this nourishment, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And we should be grateful for the nourishment, because it's the whole ecology thing. It all works together. We are as one with the food that we eat, and it's worth acknowledging that. And that
Indeed.
fills the soul.
A friend of mine said one of the things you can do while eating very quickly to really enjoy it is think about every process that food had to go through to get to your plate. So if it's corn, it was grown somewhere, and then someone harvested it, and it was carried, and then someone cooked it, and then they put it on your plate. And all of a sudden, it becomes really alive to you, because it's not just your body eating. Your spirit
Yes.
is now acknowledging that, wow,
Yeah.
just for the corn on the plate. And then if it's whatever else is happening on your plate, then the plate itself, then the room you're in,
Yeah.
and then it becomes this really visceral experience.
Yes, that's a brilliant idea.
Yeah.
Because you are grateful for the food you eat, because you're grateful for the people who have been connected
Yes.
to the food that you are really lucky that you've
Yeah.
been able to eat.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. I'd never thought of food in that way, but I will from now on. Brilliant. Thabo, thank you very much.
Thank you.
I hope you enjoyed that. And don't forget to watch the other interviews in the series, and of course share with your family and friends. Now, as a happiness seeker, I want to help you to find the answers to the challenges that you are facing, either at work, at home, or in school. So do subscribe to my channel and add your comments in the comments section below. If you have any questions, then if I don't have the answer, I will find an expert who does. If your question is too personal, then my email is janet@happinessmillionaire.com. You see, I believe that together, if we focus on happiness health, we can change the world. I'm Janet Jones, leading the way to a happier day. It's tacky, I know, but it's cute.